I the a-hole for flipping out on my fiance for canceling all the vegan food options from our wedding food menu behind my back? My fiance, 31 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. There wasn't much that we disagreed on during the wedding planning, except for food. Me and my family are vegans, and there are so many reasons why we chose this lifestyle, and one of them being that we have a history of health issues. My fiance and his family are the complete opposite. They're hardcore meat eaters, which is fine by me, obviously. Okay, good to know, good to know. Okay, so wait, so like you had both options, and he canceled them. Let's get some context. However, when deciding on the wedding food menu, I wanted to add 4 to 5 vegan options. My fiance and his mom objected, saying it's a waste of money over food that isn't real food. You can eat it, so like it is. Also, there's like a lot of vegan food that is like amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's hard to make really good vegan food. I feel like you have to be like a very good chef in order to be able to be a vegan. There's definitely really good vegan options. There's this one restaurant I go to, it's called Fresh in Toronto. Everything's vegan and it's amazing. They have such good salads and their chicken is like pretty close, honestly. They also argued that this would be offensive for their guests and suggested my vegan options just be the good old salads and appetizers. How is it offensive to have options for people who have different dietary restrictions? When you go to a restaurant, do these people get offended that there's vegan options on the menu?
Your menu's on fire.
That's weird, you're being weird. I said no. For one, it's me and my family who's paying. And 2, I want to make my guests feel welcome and not be treated as second-class citizens by being served salad. My fiance made a face and said, "Isn't that what vegans eat?" No, not just. I refused to argue about it and said it was final. My goodness, so you're paying for it and he's literally telling you what you can and can't have on your wedding menu? The other day, I found out he canceled all the vegan options and took them off the menu completely and behind my back. The audacity. I was seething. I called him at work, but he kept hanging up on me. What is his problem? I went straight to his workplace and confronted him there and just flipped out on him. He was stunned to see me.
What are you doing here?
He at first said it was his mom's idea and then told me to go home because I was making a scene at the office. The fight continued at home and he defended himself by saying I sort of made him resort to doing this after I kept brushing off his thoughts and input and refusing to accommodate his family. But it doesn't affect his family. It affects your family because they can't eat anything at your wedding. How does having an option for other people with dietary, like would he have this same reaction if people had allergies? This is weird. Listen, you are allowed to have whatever dietary restrictions you want. If you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, if you are a carnivore, whatever, just don't force your opinions on other people. And it goes both ways, eh? Like vegans, don't push it on other people, and meat eaters, don't push it on vegans. Everybody is entitled to eat whatever they want. And that is final! But there were plenty of meat options. Why can't I get 4 to 5 vegan options? When I'm paying for it, it literally doesn't affect him at all. He yelled that it was his wedding too, not my family's. My family said it was fine and they'll figure it out and told me to let it go, but I refused. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down on this? No, he's being so unreasonable and dumb. Okay, so there's an update. So his mom messaged me earlier to try to get me to listen to what she had to say after I kept ignoring her phone calls. She sent long walls of text just to address what I did at her son's workplace, calling it all kinds of stuff from immature to unhinged. Yeah, of course she makes it about how you f***ed up and not what they did to ruin your wedding for your family. Yes, you didn't have to go to his workplace, but he was ignoring your calls. She then went on to explain how she noticed that me and my family kept acting dismissive of her son's input and contributions to the wedding. What contributions? I feel like this is just like a really dumb hill that he like wants to say, and like this is how he's like asserting dominance. She says she noticed my behavior toward him and her entire family and wanted to speak up earlier but didn't and tried to keep the peace. She then went on to address the food menu issue and denied her involvement in the cancellation of the vegan option. But that didn't mean she didn't support her son's decision. Moreover, she thought it was so responsible of him to make that move because of my continual refusal to see how this stuff is a waste of money. It's not. People need to eat. How is that a waste of money? And what does it matter if you're wasting your money? She's not the one that's paying for it, and neither is her son. So what does it matter if that's something that you want to spare no expense over? Ugh, I'm livid. I'm angry. Triggered, if you will. She also pointed out how I kept saying I paid for it, and she said that technically this isn't just my money, it's mine and his because we're getting married, and she suggested I wisen up and get rid of my money, I paid for it mentality.
Oh my God! Wow!
I hate this, but it's a fact though. She finally mentioned how bad this whole situation is making me look, and she said that she and her son had already offered a number of compromises that I chose to brush off and decided to make it my weird hill to die on. Interesting choice of words. It doesn't affect them. I feel like this is just a weird way to like control something, but it's also like so unreasonable because what are your family supposed to eat? She said that not only her son is upset, but she and the family as well are hearing about it and suggested I just agree on their compromise and be done with it. This pissed me off beyond belief, and I responded by letting her know I'm still standing my ground on this, even if I have to call the whole wedding off because of it. Honestly, this is just ridiculous. My mom and dad, they don't even know what to say anymore. Apparently my fiance saw my response to her, he's with her, and is now trying to call me, but right now I'm waiting on him to get home and see if he's still insisting on taking the stance he took. This is so dumb. What is this about? I feel like maybe they just have like a deep-seated hatred toward vegans or something. Or maybe they're trying to assert control over the wedding in some way. Let's recap. He, 1, has no clue what vegans actually eat and no interest in learning. 2, believes having food for your family is offensive to theirs while having no food for your family is perfectly fine. 3, he doesn't respect your input and your money. 4, he makes decisions about matters important to you behind your back. And 5, he can't stand up to his mom or he uses her as a scapegoat. That's a lot of things to be really angry about. Why are you marrying this guy again? Like, it may sound like a small thing, but like, is it really a small thing? Kinda isn't, is it? If she marries this guy, she'll find a lot of the vegan food she keeps at the house suddenly goes missing, and he'll start substituting meat in her meals without her knowledge to show how this really isn't a big deal. If they live together, that could already be happening. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, this is weird. People who eat meat and are forced to be around vegans are the worst. They act like the victim when they can simply just not eat the vegan food. I don't know why vegan options are so offensive to them as meat eaters. Just literally, who cares? The other very toxic trait is hanging up when she calls him to discuss something important to her. What an absolute child OP is about to marry. Wait until you have kids, OP. Him and his mother are going to drive you insane. So you and your family are paying, but his mummy says salad and cupcakes is fine. So he cancels any food the family paying can eat. I'd cancel the wedding. You're not the a-hole. Him and mummy, massive a-holes. Yeah, you're not the a-hole, my dear. Next case. My 28 female, fiance, 26 female, told me my parents are saying incredibly racist things to her when I'm not around because they don't want black grandchildren. Hello, everyone. I'm writing this to figure out what to do or who to believe in this situation. Let me start out by saying I'm white and my lovely fiance is a black woman. We have an amazing relationship and I don't want any other woman in my life. She's also the only black woman I've ever dated. My parents have always been supportive of me and I have an incredibly strong family relationship with them and my siblings, or at least I thought. When I was growing up in the Midwest, there weren't really black people around and the topic of racism never came up. But I never suspected that my lovely outgoing and polite parents would be racist because they even donated money to an orphanage in Africa for like 20 years now through their church. Could be performative activism disguised as something else. My parents met my fiance a year ago, but did not take it too seriously because I had a lot of girlfriends in the past and they probably just thought it was another girlfriend. Well, last weekend I announced to them that my girlfriend was now my fiance on a Zoom family meeting. My parents looked a little surprised because I did not discuss it with them before, but were ultimately congratulating me. We wanted to have a dinner with them in person to sort of let them get to know their future daughter-in-law, and everything blew up. My mom forgot something for the dinner and my dad went to the store to get it. My fiance texted me about 10 minutes in, asking me to come back right away because she needed me, and my dad and I turned around. When I got back, she was sitting in my car. I still had the keys, and she was crying and asking me to take her to our house. Of course, I drove her home and told my parents I was sorry, and my fiance told me what my mom said to her. Essentially, my fiance told me my mom said she was not supportive of us because she didn't want black grandchildren. A number of other things that she was surprised my fiance married up, even though I think my fiance is better looking than me, but I'm a bit more successful financially. When I confronted my mom and asked what she said, my mom said she said nothing even close to that, and the only thing she said was that she was curious what country my wife was ethnically from, and my fiance mistook it. When I asked my fiance more probing questions, she's adamant that my mom explicitly said these things. Well, if she did say these things, that's not exactly something that she would admit to, especially considering this was said when you weren't there. She did it behind your back if she did do it. I've never known either of them to be liars, but the two people I trust most in this world are giving me completely conflicting stories. I want to side with my wife, but what if she's having some sort of mental episode or something? Is it a possibility that no one is lying here? I need some help. Edit. It could also be a mental episode with my mom, maybe, but neither have mental issues. But they can pop up in people in their 20s, like my uncle. So I just said my fiance might have had a mental episode. Sorry for the confusion. I don't think that her being offended by your mom's racism is a mental episode. I understand you're confused. I understand this is between your mom and your fiance, but I really highly doubt that your fiance would lie about something as serious as this. Your mom, being someone that doesn't want black grandchildren, does have something to gain by saying what she said, which is to end the relationship. Another top comment, I'm a white guy from the deep south. This isn't even a mystery to me. Your wife is not making anything up. Trust her. The ethnicity dodge is an old hat, and she's blaming your fiance for her own racism by saying she was misunderstood. Midwesterners, I personally know, have a really skewed view of what racism is, and often are not aware of how racist they actually are, because they do not get to witness it on a regular basis or be embarrassed by it on a regular basis. I think that she said something to the effect of like,
where are you from?
There are certain things that people say that's a little bit of what's called a microaggression, right? It's possible it could have been a microaggression, but I think that your fiance has been accustomed to this type of treatment, and I would believe her over your mother. But we have an update. Thank you to those who reached out with good suggestions and such. I really took everyone's advice on this. However, I really didn't think it was fair the way I was characterized in the comments, because I love my fiance and I believe her, but I also love my mom and I have no reason to doubt her either. It's really hard to doubt your parents when they've always been good to you your entire life until this incident. Important context. Anyways, I was basically completely wrong about this whole situation. I decided to call my sisters. I told them it was an emergency and we hopped on Zoom. I explained the crazy story to them and one of them let out a laugh and tried to hold it back. Then I went quiet and we had a few seconds of awkwardness until she let out a,
"Are you really asking this?"
Then she told me,
"Of course mom is racist."
And my sister agreed with her. They then led me on a 30-minute rant about how mom would tell them not to marry outside their race, especially black people, because these marriages won't work out and no decent man would want you after. Oh Lord. Apparently she told them this regularly and they all married white people anyway. The thing is, I'm 9 years younger than the youngest of them, so I guess I was never included. She never once mentioned to me about race or who I should or shouldn't date. I don't know why I never received these messages. Ugh, dear. Maybe it was because you had never dated anyone black before, so they just assumed that you wouldn't marry anyone black. Moreover, I guess I'm just blind because they also told me I was the favorite child because I was the only boy. I assume my parents paid for everyone's first car in college, but I guess it was just me. They were really mad at me for what I put my fiance through and not realizing things. I mean, I kind of agree with them. I don't think you're a bad person, but I also don't think that someone experiencing disrespect and prejudice and then telling you about that, the appropriate response to that is,
"Oh, you must be having a mental episode."
I feel like that's unfair because how am I supposed to know they were mistreated compared to me if I was a child when they were in college? I guess the close relationship I thought I had was just an illusion. I told my fiance I was with her until I die and I don't care if they all cut me off and that I'm siding with her always. I should have done this from the beginning because she's really not the kind of person to call people racist and I never knew her to be super political. After talking with my sisters, I hung up almost crying, which I normally don't do. But I went and told my fiance everything I had learned and we held each other for a while. Oh God, I'm actually tearing up for a bit. That's so hard. It's such a generational thing. It's not just generational, but it really is a generational thing. And it's something that generations just honestly can't agree on. I understand that your mom treated you really well, but this kind of thinking toward other people is just not okay. She's not really mad at me, but I just was sad about the whole situation. And we talked a lot about whether to cut my parents out completely or not. I know for sure we will not let them around our future children. Also, my sisters called me back and told me they're sorry they were so harsh on me, but I really hope I don't lose all my family from this. I also found out my dad has internal Ring cameras and I asked to see the videos from that day, but he told me they were already deleted and overwritten. guilty. I would really like to see it in person for closure. Overall, I'm sorry for the storm this caused on here, but I decided to update just because I keep seeing alerts and messages from people. Maybe somebody will find this helpful. Some important things to note in the comments. I'm glad your sister sorted you out, but remember, this has disproportionately affected them and your fiance. Even if you weren't intentionally blind, you do need to cool it with complaining about how this is unfair to you. It is unfair to him. Obviously, he would love his parents' support, but at the end of the day, the prejudice is not being directed toward him. It will be directed toward his own children, which he can be upset about. You can be upset for people, but this is not about you. I really hate that he says his fiance isn't super political, as if being racist is political. Yeah, that's a very good point. I kind of cringed a little bit when I read that. I was just like, okay, this is not like a red versus blue issue, I feel like. I mean, it kind of is, but it shouldn't be. It's not. Being racist just makes you an a-hole. I think it will be really hard to be around your parents if they feel this way about Black people, because they're gonna feel that way about your kids. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of unconscionable at this point. It would be nice to be able to have a relationship, but quite frankly, your mom should have kept her feelings to herself. Then again, is it a good thing that maybe you find out these things before having to guess? I'm glad you somewhat came to your senses. I'm sad that your sisters had to knock some sense into you for you to believe your fiance. All right, we got one more spicy one. My 22 female fiance, 25 male, wants his father to check my tomorrow night before I get married. Originally posted to relationship advice. My fiance proposed to me about 8 months ago. We decided on having a relatively small wedding, which is in 2 days. Everything was going great. He seems absolutely perfect and we are very much in love. I am a virgin and so is he. He wanted to save it for marriage and I wasn't fussed, so I agreed to saving it. He's told me earlier that in his family, the father checks the of the bride the night before the wedding. I laughed this off as it seriously sounds like a massive joke. It does sound like a joke. The dad? The night before the wedding. I feel like the only time I've ever heard this happening is like when I watch like a period drama, not like period like you're on your rag, but like, you know, Marie Antoinette or something. And like they check the bride has to be a virgin and able to bear children, so the doctor checks before there's a royal wedding. I've never heard of this like happening in real life, and not in like the 2000s. Turns out he was dead serious. He wants me the night before to have a small ceremony type thing so his dad can check me while him and his brothers and uncle can walk so they know I'm still pure. I told him, fat chance I'm gonna do that. And he was begging me to go through with it. Like, why not? Like, this is so weird to begin with, but why the dad? And weird. And how important it is for him. He said he knew it was slightly embarrassing for embarrassing for me, but his mom did it and will prove how much I love him and that I have nothing to hide anyway, as I'm a virgin. Hide? I don't like this at all. This is weird. This is some weird medieval. I left and he was crying. It was very dramatic, to be honest. I want to call off the wedding because of this and never talk to him again. But at the same time, it's only one thing. Other than that, we're genuinely perfect for each other. And I don't want to spend my life with anyone else. And it's very important to him and his family. Why? What the frick frack do I do? I'm currently at my friend's house and I might stay here for the night. Tomorrow would be our last day as an unmarried couple and I'm straight up panicking. Yeah, this is odd. I think that this is a very strange hill to die on. And at the end of the day, it's up to you what you want to do. And if he forces you to do it, then you end it. If he forces you and says that he's not going to marry you, then you don't marry him. Like, I'm uncomfortable reading this. I can't even imagine how one would feel if they were obligated to participate in this kind of ceremony. Jesus. Even when you're thinking about like medieval times, you know, royal weddings where you had to do this as a bride, it wasn't the dad that looked, it was like a priest or a doctor or something, like a bishop. This is weird. So we do have an update. First of all, thank you for all the replies. I didn't think this would get so big. I've read pretty much all the replies. Special shout out goes to the person who said this was fake solely on the fact that I write like a man. Whatever that means. I went and talked to him this morning and I told him that his father is not going to look at me and he needs to respect that. He was adamant that it needed to happen and he accused me of lying about my virginity. I was trying to be calm and rational, but he was not having it and became more and more angry. Yeah. This is when you end it. I told him if he really loved me, he would stand by me on this and tell his father no. To which he slapped me and said he didn't need to prove anything. This is done. We're done. See you later. I ended it and I left him. I'm currently back at my friend's house being miserable and eating pizza, which is pretty fun. So yeah, thanks everyone. I'm very rarely like speechless. Takes a lot to knock the words out of me. I can't say I'm sad for you though. I really can't. Like I know that it's like sad right now, but you're gonna look back on this and be like, imagine you went through with it. Oh, weird. Look at the top comment. That's medieval It is. And even when it was medieval, even when it was allowed in medieval times, that was for like literal royal weddings and like the nobility. What is this family on? That's enough fiance drama for one day. Subscribe